What's up, homies? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Red_Ghost, and today I've already succeeded in triggering you because you think I'm gonna rate your favorite character low because of their kit's meta viability. Joke's on you. I don't give a fuck about the meta. I play who I want, when I want, and how I want. Kit viability is not my end-all be-all category for this tier list. As a matter of fact, it's the category I've given the least importance. For this tier list, I'm grading characters on three things: gameplay, design, and story. Gameplay for each character will be scored out of 3, and I will judge each character on how much I like the design of their kit. This will be different from my Genshin Impact tier list since there are no bad or incomplete kits in Honkai Star Rail, just ones that pale in comparison to others of the same kind. Design should be self-explanatory, but I'll be judging how much I love each character's design subjectively. My taste will be different from yours somewhere on this list, and that's okay. I'd like to hear what your scores are also. And lastly, the category I place the highest value on: a character story. If I don't care for a character, more importantly for a 5-star, then I won't bother pulling them, or properly building them if I got them. If I don't vibe, I don't pull. That's why I skipped Blade twice, spoiler alert for his placement. This category for every character will be scored out of 5. With all 3 categories, the max score a character can get is 12. Let's see how many characters hit that threshold, starting with the one farthest from that. One of the bigger, not the biggest, never the biggest, reasons I didn't pull for Kafka on release is because he was one of only 2 decent partners for her at the time. But thanks to Gwennyfin and future Win-Nihility characters, that doesn't even matter now. I will always hate that this jerk sniped my Yukong pulls at the very first 10 pull. I didn't want him, and the second a new 5-star abundance I like drops, or we get a new relic set that makes Natasha better, I'll shelve him and I'll never look back. She's the complete opposite of Luocha. I do not regret pulling this character, but her story thus far has been inconsistent. Between her wanting to become an Eon and her story revolving around emanators, I expected a little more than her dry commentary and ill-conceived mad scientist portrayal. Hoping her next appearance does her better justice. Screwlum is the only member of the Simulated Universe team I like and respect. Enough said.
Bruh.
Her little gremlin laugh during her ultimate is ugly. Also, she's so boring that another 4-star had to carry her companion quest. R.I.P. Little Landau. He has one of the coolest looking animations but one of the blandest characterizations in the game. At least he takes care of Peppy. Luca was dangerously close to being Child 2.0, but he was saved by how sweet the ending of his quest was. Still don't vibe with him too much though. Hook has 0 flaws in my eyes. From her 2 quests to her gameplay to her design, she has fine marks across the board. It's just that there's nothing that makes her truly stand out to me personally. I have gone on a roller coaster with this character. I liked him at first since he was one of my first DPS units. Then I learned about Jing Liu, and then Yanqing got annoying, and now he's less so. I'll just let him stew here in the inoffensive tier and move on. Blade is only this high because I loved his character demo, one of my top 5 in fact. Other than that, I don't think too much about him, probably the only Stellaron hunter I'll never pull for. Silly man with a silly quest with silly riz. I'll always enjoy his presence for the last, but I'll never waste wishes on this man. Can you believe she hijacked Lynx's companion quest and I still don't care much for her? Okay, but seriously, she's a fine character and is the closest of everyone mentioned so far to warming their way into my heart. She's got to get a tad more screen time first.
Hooray!
So this is a weird one since he technically has 2 spots on this list, so I feel like to just dump his 4-star form here since the only differences are gameplay and design. Obviously they share a story, so we'll get to that later. I miss my little furry bait merchant. I'm still in a soft boycott when using her until we learn of her true fate down the line. Until then, I'll just have to have units like Bronya and Hanya carry me. A very nice and respectful character who doesn't often wear shoes. Seeing as a main character of my own also doesn't wear shoes, I feel a stronger than normal appreciation for her, so B tier it is. Also, she was the 5-star I got from that 50 pull guarantee at the start of the game, so she'll always be my first 5-star. This little Scooby-Doo protagonist almost got me to pull on her. She's cracked beyond the shadow of a doubt, and she's adorable like Clara, but I know I will regret getting her as much as I do Luocha. And why lament when I can simply enjoy her future story adventures? We still have 7 judges left to meet, and when they come, I see no reason why Fofua won't join them. The Honkai Star Rail team hit me with Rengoku Light with this unit. What I mean by that is that I was wholly expecting to not like this character one bit based off his drip marketing, blurb, and design. Kinda like how I wrote off Rengoku when I first saw him. Now, Dr. Ratio did not impress me to the same degree as Rengoku, but among all the playable genius characters thus far, he's by far my favorite. A gamer girl through and through. This character here started the trend of me waiting until each Stellaron Hunters rerun to pull for them. Sorry, Sam. I'm glad I got her. She's been a fantastic addition to my main team, and her in-game messages are funny. I laughed when she lost her 50-50 life. I slept on Asta for exactly 2 minutes. Once I saw how she was able to shred toughness bars, I just knew I had to build her, and build her I did. Her story hasn't gone anywhere amazing yet, but I believe it will. A rich girl with a wealth of knowledge and a space station at her disposal. There's literally no limits. Plus, she's voiced by Mona's VA, and I can't help but link those characters in my mind. This character appears, and I know that Fushu isn't far behind. That alone hypes me up when she arrives. What makes me appreciate her a little bit more is that she's not just here for jokes. When I was going through all the Sanjo native stories in the Haunted event, I honestly thought they were building up to a she's gonna hold this over Fushu's head kind of punchline, but they made it much more wholesome and endearing, and I love that even more. She was someone I was ready to write off as soon as I saw her because her chicken ult, while hilarious, seemed to be all she had going for her. And then we got the O'Malley and Ghost Squad events, and I learned they didn't introduce her properly for the kind of character she is. She's not a down and dirty brawler story character, but she makes every event she's a part of 10 times better, and that's made her one of my more recent favorites. And right there with Sushong is her bestie Gwenifin. This character is another bundle of fun for any and all future Sanjo events. On top of that, she's a solid partner for Kafka dot teams with their fire kit stacks. It's really fun to throw firecrackers in enemies' faces. I can't see myself ever truly benching this character. When I got into Honkai Star Rail, I was late to the game. I never knew of the closed beta or anything of the sort. However, once I started playing, I decided to look up some of the past character trailers I missed. Bailu's is one of my favorites of those early trailers. The opening is so soothing and rhythmic and adorable, and her energy in the game is so warm and hilarious. I would help her sneak out of anywhere at the drop of a hat, and while she may be the obligatory child on the standard banner, her design is still incredible, so much so that if she were to have an adult model, I'd declare Bailu to have the best in-game design out of everybody. And starting off our A tier is the truest form of Dan Heng. He alone has my single favorite cutscene in all of Honkai Star Rail. His design would be a 4 out of 4 if only his tail was a more permanent addition like Bailu's. Being the best DPS in the game is just a slight bonus. He would be in my top 5 characters if only his story was handled better. But hey, so as long as Blade is free, the potential for that to change is high. It only took one cutscene to change my mind on this character. Before Fushu uses the Matrix of Prescience on her, I only saw Kafka as one of those untouchable femme fatales that's perfect and flawless in everything she does, and it drove me mad. But once we learned of her crew's true motive and their reason behind the Xianzhou upheaval, I started thinking more clearly about her role in the story, and the more I thought about it, the more hyped I became. She'll have a harder time than Invibrator to reach my top 10 characters, but after one impressive reversal, I wouldn't bet against her too hard. Good old Grandpa here is another version of Rengoku Light. He was just more successful at it since his presence is in the company of other characters I like. He and March were so unbelievably funny together in that Luocha quest where we learned nothing about the man it was for. And I've delved into the Honkai lore here and there, learning that good old Grandpa is actually monstrously powerful. I'm no longer tilted that he KO'd me with just a cane at the start of the game. Serval's no longer the only 4-star DPS on my account. I've wanted Shui Yi since I first laid eyes on her, and she has yet to disappoint me, and her kit is designed around my favorite mechanic in the game, weakness breaking. Even more than the sustain or harmony, I want every team to have a dedicated breaker. With Shui Yi, I can have a dedicated breaker and DPS all in one. Other characters I'm building for that purpose include Asta, Gwenifin, Sushong, and Silverwolf, and I like playing all of them. While Hanya's gameplay may not be as tied to my taste as Shui Yi's, I identify with Hanya a little bit more since she is a writer. The little dialogues between her and Shui Yi have shed light on her tendency to write novels, and I think that's a fantastic pursuit for someone like her with a terribly dark job. If we ever get the chance to read her stuff in-game, you'll know I'll be all over it. By the way, if anyone knows if anything of that already exists, let me know in the comments below. Stell and Kalis, and yes, I do think Stell is better even though I chose Kalis, are adorable and hilarious MCs. The fact they don't have an annoying mouthpiece actually speak and have their own unique emotions and reactions is incredible. I never cringe during their dialogue unless it's purposely and tastefully intended. My MC may only be level 60 now, but there's just one new form away from that level 80 benchmark. Not benched, by the way. It took until 2024 for me to pull this man off the monthly standard pass refresh, but I've long wanted him. This man is an absolute beast, and I don't just mean as a shielder. In the story, even though the characters were holding back lethal intent, Japard held off the MC, March, Danny, Seele, and Serval to uphold his duty as a Silvermane captain. Give the man his beans, comment section. The only bad thing about him is that we were robbed of a companion quest centered around him since this was just a continuation of Serval's story. I want him to have his own in the future. He deserves to be included in the HSR Roast Praises playlist. Link down below. Jingliu had an unfortunate fall from grace in my eyes. When I first saw her and learned she was a new Ice DPS, I immediately stopped building Yanqing. She has my favorite design in the game, tied with Ruin Mei, and I was hyped to see what she would be like in the story. She didn't exactly disappoint, as I do truly enjoy her story, but the stuff with the High Cloud Quintet did fail to satisfy me entirely. Her and Jingyuan had the most fulfilling roles among the 4 present in the Xianzhou story, but I'm just left wanting for more. Hopefully when we return to that ship, the writing team will have a better presentation so she can rise again. Okay, I want to have a little fun mini game for my S and SS tiers, the spaces for my 10th to 6th place characters and top 5 respectively. I'm going to put all 10 on the screen and give you 10 seconds to pause and comment your predictions for who will land where. I'll friend the person who gets the closest and use their support character once a day for a week to reward you some extra credits. Starting at the bottom of the top 10 is a character I see will rise in the ranks when Penacony finally drops. The Astro Express may be venturing to Penacony as a group, but the invite was specifically sent to Himiko, and her ties to the family and the IPC are so interesting to me. Why did they choose to invite her specifically when the reputation of the Astro Express is impressive enough on its own? Why did she accept when the reputation of the family is known among the IPC, with which Himiko is intimately knowledgeable about? Combine that with the fact that she is the only standard character I don't yet possess and one of the 5 stars I want the most, and have stuff built up to build her frame 1, she is a character I could not put in my top 10. My love of fire characters continues with number 9. I won't lie and say Topaz was a winner right away with me. I vacillated a bit on whether or not I wanted this character. She would have been my 4th limited DPS and I wasn't sure it was smart to pull another so soon, but then her kit was revealed, and with the introduction of a potential follow-up meta, which she defines, I saw as much potential as Kafka with dot teams. That wasn't even the best part. Numby is able to track chests on the map, and for someone like me who loves to hunt down chests frame 1, it made her pull value grow even higher. That and the fact she synergized with several units I want to play, such as number 10 on my list, and her introduction to future market quests was handled brilliantly and made me excited to help her get re-promoted on Penacony. I have learned that no matter how strong or how crazy any new DPS is, Seele will always be my favorite. I pulled 3 other limited DPS units and Seele is still my most played unit ever. And I have dreams telling me that another powerful support for her is on the horizon. Just a hunch though. Seele is this high because I love her, and I have since her introduction saving Bronya. She's a veritable badass with a rather blunt response to any and all situations. However, her response is refreshing because it bounces off the more reserved and calculating ideals of the 2 people closest to her. Spoiler alert, those 2 are coming up later. Her only downside is that her in-game relevance has a sharp cut-off point, so I suspect she won't last in my top 10 too long, but for now, I'm glad to have her here. I play exactly 2 gachas and 2 Hoyoverse games, and Honkai Star Rail's mascot is far and away the better of the 2. Outside of one very Paimon-esque line immediately following the death of Mama Cocolia, I adore March with all my heart. On top of the fear of her being another version of Amber gameplay-wise, she's actually a solid 4-star unit to build up and use. And like Amber, her characterization appeals to me greatly. I love her desire to photograph everything because she never wants to forget anything again, which lines up perfectly with her goal to uncover her memories and true identity. And that's a journey I hope that they put more care into than in Vibrator's story. Watch my Bellabot vs. Xianzhou video for more details on that. Anyway, March can only go higher, especially once her 5-star form drops. I'm predicting that skin reveal from the future market quest was not a skin, but a teaser for the design of her 5-star form. If I'm wrong, I will E6 5-star March on her release banner. Quote me on that. And here we have him, the man, the myth, the legend, Jingyuan. I don't care if he's not as strong meta-wise as the other High Cloud Quintet units, he's written the best among them by a wide margin, being the only one of them to be involved in every single storyline on the Xianzhou by manipulating the different players where he wanted them to be. Sicking Blade on Dan Heng to get him to transform, allowing Yanqing to go off on his own to learn how much further he truly has to go to be the best of the best, and allowing Fushu to take the necessary steps to prepare for generalship. And he was not idle while moving those different storylines along. He was on the hunt for Locha, discovering his role in the Stellaron incident. I could mention how he chooses to let Fushu and Yanqing settle their possessions on their own, having no doubt about their inner strengths. And when it comes to the Dragon Lady, he respects Bailu and offers her protection from the idiotic high elders of the Vidyadhara. I can actually imagine scenes between the 2 of them to be funny and wholesome and wacky. All that being said, I I don't really have plans to pull for Genuine, not because he's weak or anything stupid like that. I don't believe in power creep in this game. I just have so many other characters I want to get, and I'm in build fatigue with the current Ascension choices. Kafka and Himiko are the last characters I plan to build with the current trace and boss mats available. I will whore him out for his weapon though. Okay, but to be completely honest, Serval is the biggest reason that I won't pull for Genuine. Why pull for the 5-star version of this Lightning Air Edition character when I love her more? I know that if I did, I wouldn't play her at all, and I love Serval too much to do that. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the smaller human stories in these are more my speed than the over-the-top godly ones. Not that I dislike those hype moments, mind you, I just like a fleshed out character, and the more hype beast type characters are tied to in-game lore reveals, which often slows down how soon they can be fleshed out. Kafka is a prime example. Her companion quest was all questions and small non-answers, which is why I didn't upload that quest to the channel. But Serval and Mama Cocolia's beef was so rich and stressful and heartbreaking, I really felt it when Serval broke down and destroyed the guitar on Mama Cocolia's grave. If I'd known her quest was going to be that amazing, I would have recorded it too. Yukong is the most cursed character in all of Honkai Star Rail. Everything sad that can happen to a character has happened to Yukong. From her tragic and traumatic backstory, the loss of her close friend and fellow Foxy and Tingyun, she stays getting hit. She's so hurt that during the Xianzhou Ghost Squad event, she knew her deceased friend was an illusion, but chose to lean into it anyway for a bit of relief from her daily life. Can you imagine being so mentally sound that you have to let an illusion soothe you? That's insane. I'm so looking forward to Yukong getting an audience with Fantilia in the future. That cutscene is gonna be so raw. Okay, so I can't even count how many times in the other entries on this list I've mentioned Fushu, so that alone should have told you she'd be in my top 5. Hell, I designed the entire thumbnail around one of the best shots from her trailer, one of my favorite trailers too. She is right up my alley, a bratty, self-assured, confident, and about her business character. From the moment Fushu and Genuine had their first interaction, I was interested, but seeing her in action against Kafka, that scene when she uses the Matrix on Kafka, and then learning her principles in the March quest, as well as how those principles weigh on her during the Haunted event, I ate all that up. And I guess I should mention how absolutely busted she is as a solo sustain. No, come to think of it, both of my bronze medal characters in Honkai Star Rail and Genshin have similar kits. Why does one of them work fabulously and the other is practically a 3-star character? So this would normally be a happy occasion, but I'm actually sad this character has yet to receive a single officially released sticker for me to use in this video. I absolutely want to put Bronya and Seele in the thumbnail instead of March and Jeppy. Why are my Belobog princesses without proper emotes? It pains me, but not as much as Bronya was after that awesome ass Mama Cocolia boss fight. Bronya, she's one of the single best characters in the game in all aspects. She's the best standard unit and competes with a ton of limited 5-stars meta value. I don't vibe with her earrings, but her design is still immaculate regardless. And her run in Belobog is the best thing her people could hope for. I know that when the time comes and Bronya has that robot army primed and ready, that she will lead the vanguard assault against the nuke. I can already see Bronya and Seele running point in the cavalry, and it'll be awesome to have those two fighting alongside me again in the future. I've talked up every single character in my top 10, but none of them matter to me as much as Natasha. I love this character. She practically runs the entire underworld as the shadowy leader behind Wildfire, and is the greatest doctor at their disposal until the two parts of Belobog are reunited. And I'm positive she still might be the greatest doctor after that anyway. My girl puts her everything into the betterment and well-being of her people. And yes, even more than Bronya, she has to compete not only with the growing fragmentum squeezing the underworlds into a few pockets of civilization, but also the crazy-ass experiments of her crazy-ass foster brother. The douchebag selling his cracked-out wonder drug for a quick buck soon learned not to mess with her patients or else they were going to catch that Svarog treatment. And not just anybody who can claim to have no love for a loved one's methods could still choose to use the perfected product behind their scheming. When she said she'd follow up on his research to truly make his wonder drug safe for the public, I was blown away. That's a rare thing to see, and I appreciate that little twist. Natasha also being the real leader of Wildfire was a subtle yet effective twist to make me love her. Of course, she's too busy to go around acting like the boss when her clinic's full 24/7, but putting in a figurehead to report to her was a magnificent idea. And the fact that someone like Sampo took us to her first instead of Oleg should have told me then and there she was more than the resident doctor. Man, they hit with this character so fucking hard for me. The only score she doesn't score perfect in is design. That's only because I hate that little booty window in her lab coat. I won't say I don't look, but I do it respectfully. Any chance I get to make Natasha my solo sustain, whether through relics or light cones, you better believe I will. At least until a 5-star abundance character I love drops, but the only one to be shelved in that case would be Luocha. I will never entirely shelve Natasha. I love her too much. And there you have it, homies, my first Honkai Star Rail tier list. I'll make another one once all the Penacony characters have dropped and I've seen a decent amount of them in game. I can tell you that right now, the 2 characters I'm looking forward to the most in Penacony are Black Swan and Duke Inferno. I'll be surprised if neither of them make it to at least A tier. I had a blast making this video and poured a lot into it, so if you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe, of course, let me know what you think of my list down below, as well as commenting who your favorite characters are. I'd love to see what you think of the current cast. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later, homies.